Since I was around here and I grew up, we lived right across the street, right next to the Performance Institute of Music Hall, right across the street from the Performance Institute of Music Hall. Sometimes we would catch the performers going in and get an autograph from them. They see us coming, they drop their head because they trying to get in and duck us and not really see anybody and just get in and do what they need to do. But at 18, right across the street, right behind me, was a restaurant called Bacchus. Again, this story is starting to sound familiar. Brother comes in, I keep seeing my younger brother, you know, he got on the nice clothes, he's getting the fresh haircuts, he's hanging out, in limos, and I'm like, where's y'all getting all this money at? And he said, I work at the restaurant down the street. And I said, man, you don't work at the restaurant down the street. And I couldn't believe it because of the just the people I seen going in there, out of there, the smells, and you know, the women with fur coats on and heels, and the men with, you know, bow ties on, tuxes, and all type of stuff. And I'm like, man, you don't work in there. And he's like, yeah. So just as a bluff, I said, the next time they hire, let me know. He said, okay. So he pops up one day. He's like, they want to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, he's like, people at the restaurant. I'm like, look, man, if I go down here and this is a prank, I'm going to beat you up. So he's like, no, it's for real. So I go down there and get interviewed and walked in, and the smells was just something different. They were exciting. I couldn't wait to get in and start working, to taste stuff. So they gave me a standing kind of mini interview, and you know, what days I would work. I lied about what I could do. I never worked in a restaurant before, and they hired me on the spot. So I turn around, I'm walking out, and they're like, they bust out laughing. They're like, I'm like, what's going on? They're like, don't you want to know how much you get paid? I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. $5 an hour, dishwashing and prepping. That's how it all started. Restaurant behind me called Bacchus. Bacchus, I later found out, was a Greek god of food, wine, and fertility. So working there, we had a lot of food, a lot of wine, and I know fertility. But you know, this neighborhood, it was just vibrant at that time. There was a lot going on. You had Bacchus, you had, and it was owned by a guy that played in the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. I think he played in the string section because right across the street, he had a violin repair shop. Up the street from that, you had, it might have been the Contact Center, now it's Overrun Community Housing, and it was, you had Nanny Hingston and Buddy Gray in there fighting the powers that be. So it was, and Washington Park has changed too. I mean, we were, well, never mind, but I'll go ahead and tell you. See, at Washington Park back then, we would go get a pair of wire cutters, cut a hole in the fence and swim all night. So it said Cincinnati Recreation, and we just assumed that we lived in Cincinnati and that was our recreation. So on the road to being a personal chef, it's very important. Your ingredients are very important. What you start with is what you finish with. You start with something garbage, you're gonna end up with something garbage. So as a personal chef, a good cook, you're always on the lookout for that next best ingredient, the next best technique, or whatever. Today we in ingredients. We're here today at Kofinas on Findlay Market with Chef Nick. We're gonna get some questions. We're gonna get some secrets out of it. And we got Mr. Top Hat here. A lot of money, a lot of stuff going on. I gotta keep y'all eye on him. He gonna be in the theater near you. All right, Chef, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm sitting here with the Monopoly man right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This our dude, man.
It's funny you call me chef. Usually my contribution is on the other end of the equation, but all right.
We good. I call you chef because I've seen you work. I've been around you. I know what you can do, man. You know, this ain't even really for the cameras. This is just us.
Yeah, man.
You know, just being up.
I can't remember how long we've been friends, man.
Oh yeah, and I value the friendship.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. We just gonna jump right in. We just gonna ask a few questions. How did you get into it?
You know what's funny is kind of I was born into it, to be honest with you. Like I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Greece, and when my grandfather was born in a farm. I mean, I was talking about rural. We had one running water tap the whole house, and it was not hot. So when my grandfather he had orchards, vineyards, and he had olives, right, about half and half. And ever since I was a kid, I remember going out to the olives. You know, whether we gathering, whether we fertilizing, whether we were weeding, whatever. You know what I mean? I hated it. Hated every second of it. We're talking about 1,000 trees, and we're talking all manual labor, not a single machine in sight. It was the most mind-numbing thing I can remember. But now, it's a business. The world's funny that way. But you know, my grandfather passed, and we inherited these trees, and we decided instead of selling them off for like a dime, we were just gonna see if we can make a business out of it to make it viable to export the oil to the United States and see if people liked it. And you know, it just kind of grew from there. Now we not only use our own oil, but we actually use the local neighbors' oil there. They all have vineyards, and they all go to the same local cooperative where the oil is pressed. And so it's the exact same thing. And that way we have a quality control certificate, and that way we have an export license through the local cooperative. And yeah, that's our business right there.
Okay. Sounds good, man. Now, again, as a chef, you know, we want to use a personal chef dealing with certain people, and anybody, period. You want to use the best ingredient.
Absolutely.
Tell us about oil. I mean, what's a good oil? What's a bad oil?
Well, now, let's get into it.
There are imposters out there.
There absolutely is. So now let's get into it, right? Let's talk. Olive oil basically is one of the healthiest oils out there. In fact, I struggle to find a healthier cooking oil that you can use.
Polyphenols?
Polyphenols are very important. It's one aspect of what's inside the olive oil, right? Now, for those chemists out there, polyphenols is also what's in red wine, that resveratrol that gives you like the protection from heart disease and stuff. But it's the same class of chemicals, but it's different. But basically, it's high in it's a monounsaturated fat, which means that it's healthy for you because it doesn't collect in your arteries, but you can also cook with it, which is stable. Saturated fats is what builds up in your arteries, which you don't want, and polyunsaturated fats are things you can't cook with because the molecules are stable. Now, there's all kinds of fake olive oil out there. So most of the olive oil that comes into this country comes out of Italy. And Italy has become the hub for olive oil export. Basically, they buy the oil from all around the world. And it's a necessary activity. Somebody has to do it. You know what I mean? The problem is, they got this thing down there called the mob. I don't know if you heard about that. The mob got run out of Atlantic City, and I don't know what happened, but there's a lot of it. And so what happened is, they don't use a lot of dietitians and health inspectors in the mob land, I guess. I don't know.
No.
So what happens
is,
they if you're lucky, they'll cut it with just some canola oil. You know what I'm saying? Because it's much less expensive, and if you can do it in quantity, it pays. But if you're unlucky, I've heard horror stories out there. You know what I mean? And that's one way. There's lots of ways you can tell what's real and what's not. But one of the ways you know is it's coming from me.
Now, I might have OD. Because what's the suggested serving size? Because when I used to get them I get the Vinegars. I take shots of it.
No, absolutely, you can. So you can take a shot. I wouldn't do more than like a tablespoon at a time because raw olive oil is an effective but gentle laxative. So you know what I mean? Keep that in mind.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I've had a bad experience with it too. And so you just want to be careful. But you can eat it raw. You can use it for salads. So any real olive oil, if it's real olive oil, you can cook with it. So it's not ours is special. If it's real olive oil, it has a high enough temperature where you can actually deep fry with it. Now, when you smoke it, when you're cooking and it starts to stink like God Almighty, it's not real olive oil. And you will know. It's not like, I don't know, maybe it's smoked. No, if it's smoked, you will know about it. It'll take a week to get the smell out of your kitchen.
Right, because it's burning up the impurities.
It's burning the oil. If you got all kinds of carcinogens in the air. But olive oil, real olive oil, should not smoke to within deep fryer heat. I deep fry with olive oil all the time, absolutely. It's a monounsaturated fat. So that's one way to tell if it's real. Another way to tell, if you put it in the fridge and then it turns and you got different layers of oil, that's not real.
Like cloudy.
It's automatically turn cloudy. What I mean is you see like layers. You see one, you can see separation of the oil because it'll freeze at different temperatures. You know what I'm saying? And then it'll just separate. That's not real. You know what I mean? That's one way to tell. You know, and we can get into it. High acidity is bad. Acidity is a measure of how much the oil has degraded. It's not got a new pH, but acidity is a measure of how much the good molecules have broken down. And you want it to have less than 1 gram per kilogram, I think, or something like that. That means an acidity of 0.1, right? Where that's if for it to be considered extra virgin, it's got to be lower than that. Ours is always within like 0.3 to 0.5 every year, 100%. Olive oil will slowly deteriorate over time, very slowly. You'll lose about half a percentage point off that acidity per year. Nothing you can do about that, but it'll happen. And also, you want to keep it in a cool, dry place. Olive oil hates light and it hates moisture.
And that's why they're always in a dark bottle.
That's right. You want to the darker the better.
Every day.
Darker the better. Moisture is going to lead to botulism if you're not lucky. So keep it away from moisture. Like even a drop of water in a bottle of olive oil, you're done. Because all bacteria, they don't need air and they don't need They don't need air, they don't need light, but they gotta have water. And an olive oil has no free water in it for bacteria to grow. But as soon as you put a drop of water in there, it's bacteria heaven. Just be aware.
Yep. As a personal chef, as a cook, as somebody in the culinary industry, you want to have these type of conversations. It makes you valuable, it makes you important, it makes you knowledgeable to your clients. So with all this talking, we gonna taste something. My son was here a couple days ago, and he didn't know we were buddies.
Now this isn't even olive oil, but I'm gonna do a solid to a friend of mine, Greg, the pickle guy from Lisle, Illinois. Now, this is olive. This is an olive muffalata. For those who haven't heard about this, this is olives, cauliflower, carrots, and celery pickles. Now, to some people that might sound great. To some people it might not, but it's fantastic. Let's have a taste.
Have a taste.
You put this on brats, mets, hot dogs, burgers, sandwiches.
Yeah.
I put it in cooking omelets, scrambled eggs, or just eat it out of the jar when I get the munchies at night. Hey, you know what? 1 second. Sorry. Excuse me, man. All right. I'm gonna tell you, I'll show you how good this is. You can eat this out of the jar almost like a salad. It's that good.
I was eating this salad, something similar. Probably I was about 18, 19 years old.
Salud. I'm gonna let you have one too, Tim. By the way, for everybody here, this is our associate Tim. Best associate and friend a man could have.
Mr. Findlay Market.
Yeah. Have a taste. Just do the whole thing.
Okay.
I know where I'm going with that?
I know where I'm stealing on the way out from here.
You know where I'm going with that, right? Can you imagine? In an omelet. Strain the excess oil out, it turns into a runny mess. But then with some ground beef, some thyme sausage, green pepper, and onions. I saute all that together, crack a couple eggs over. I call it my California garbage omelet. You're gonna love it.
Don't sound like no garbage to me.
Nah.
Well, thank you, sir.
Hey, I hope to see every one of you guys at Findlay Market. Come down Saturdays and Sundays. It's a fun time. Bring the whole family.
Visit Kofinas. If you see Tim, tell him I said hi.
Absolutely, gentlemen.
I've been a
customer of these guys for years before I came to work.
That's
here.
right.
And they've got the best. They've got some of the best olive oil in the world. I mean, this is really, really high quality, good stuff. I cook with it all the time.
Please, you're making me blush.
I just drink vinegar. I take shots of vinegar shots.
In fact, I use their balsamic vinegar to make my barbecue sauce when I barbecue.
This guy can cook. He's the real deal, man.
I believe it.
He's the real deal.
White peach vinegar.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have a good night.